Norway haven't faced a test like this in 28 years. 2 wins, 7 goals, and a fairy tale return to the World Cup stage have brought Ståle Solbakken side to Foxborough with 6 points already banked, level with France at the top of Group I. Erling Haaland has scored 4 goals in 2 matches, so has Kylian Mbappe. Both sides have already secured their place in the round of 32. The only thing left to decide is who tops the group, and with it, who gets the more favorable path through the knockout rounds. On paper, this should be straightforward. France have reached a final in 2 of the last 3 World Cups. They've conceded just once across 2 matches. Mike Maignan, William Saliba, and Dayot Upamecano have barely been tested. Norway's best ever World Cup finish is the round of 16, set in 1998, the same year they last even qualified for this tournament. But here's why this match isn't as one-sided as the history suggests. Norway have scored in every single game they've played at this World Cup. Haaland has been in ruthless form for his country, and Martin Odegaard has shown exactly the kind of passing range that could finally trouble a France backline that has not faced this kind of physical, direct threat at the tournament so far. So the question isn't really whether France are favorites. They clearly are. The real question is whether Norway, fresh off the 2 biggest performances of their modern football history, actually believe they can do something no Norwegian team has ever done: beat one of the best teams in the world on the biggest stage that exists. And in this video, we're going to break down exactly what it would take.
The case for France, why they're clear favorites. Let's start with the obvious part, because it matters before we get into why Norway might actually have a route through. France's group stage has been close to flawless, a 3-1 win over Senegal, then a 3-0 dismantling of Iraq, conceding just once across both matches. Mbappe has been directly involved in goals throughout, recently marking his 100th cap for France with a brace against Iraq. Ousmane Dembélé arrived at this tournament fresh off winning the Champions League and scoring 35 times in the club campaign, and finally opened his own World Cup account against Iraq. Michael Olise has been one of the standout performers of the entire group stage so far, giving France another creative weapon between the lines. What makes France especially dangerous is that they do not need the game to look perfect in order to control it. Against Iraq, they handled a disrupted match, reset their rhythm, and still found a way to keep creating chances. Mbappe kept attacking the same dangerous zones. Dembélé offered width and unpredictability. Olise gave them final ball quality. That matters against Norway because Solbakken's side cannot simply survive one good French spell and expect the pressure to disappear. France are capable of coming at opponents in waves. And the squad depth behind that front line is genuinely absurd. Bradley Barcola, Desiree Doué, Ryan Cherki, and Marcus Thuram are all available options coming off the bench, players who would start for many other nations at this tournament. Didier Deschamps, who has already confirmed this will be his final tournament in charge, is not coaching under pressure in the usual sense. He is chasing legacy, hunting a second World Cup as manager to go with the one he won in 2018. The defensive record backs all of this up. Saliba has been one of the most composed center backs of the group stage, and Upamecano offers the recovery pace to cover the space behind him. This is, on every reasonable measure, one of the deepest and most battle-tested squads left in the tournament. If you're enjoying the video so far, we'd be incredibly grateful if you subscribed. Your support helps us grow and continue making the content you love.
The case for Norway, why this isn't a formality. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because Norway are not just making up the numbers in this fixture. Start with the obvious name. Haaland scored twice in the opener against Iraq, then delivered again in a 3-2 win over Senegal, the toughest competitive test Norway have faced at this tournament so far. Across those 2 World Cup matches, he has been fed consistently, and the only thing missing from a complete statement performance is a decisive moment against one of the elite defenses in world football. But Norway's win over Senegal also revealed why this team is more complicated than a simple Haaland highlight reel. Senegal pushed the match deep and forced Norway to defend under pressure, but Solbakken's side still found the decisive moments. That tells you something about the confidence in this group. This is not a team playing like tourists who are just happy to be here. The emotional energy around Norway has become part of the story, from Odegaard's readership to the traveling support turning each win into a national moment. For a side that had not played at a World Cup since 1998, belief is no longer abstract, it is visible. Behind Haaland, Odegaard has been exactly the creative engine Arsenal fans would recognize. He pulls the strings from midfield, waits for the right angle, and looks for the pass into the channels behind a high defensive line. That is the exact kind of service that could trouble Saliba and Upamecano if France leaves space between their center backs and fullbacks. Alexander Sorloth gives Norway another physical outlet, especially when they need to go longer or attack the far post. Antonio Nusa offers pace and one-on-one ability on the wing, which can stretch France's back four and create the kind of space Haaland thrives in. Norway are not as deep as France, but they do have a clear attacking structure. That matters. The tactical blueprint already exists. Norway's qualifying win over Italy was built on wide players stretching the block, Haaland pulling defenders into uncomfortable positions, and space opening behind a defensive line. If Solbakken side can replicate that same approach against France, there is a genuine route to goals here, not just hope.
The key duel, Haaland v Saliba and Upamecano. This match comes down to one battle more than any other, and it is the one everyone has been building towards since the draw was made. Haaland against William Saliba and Dayot Upamecano. Both center backs have looked composed through 2 group games. Both have the athleticism to handle elite forwards. But Iraq and Senegal did not have a striker who combines Haaland's movement, aerial threat, power, and finishing instinct inside the box. Still, this is not just a 1 versus 2 duel. The supply line matters just as much. Haaland can occupy Saliba and Upamecano, but the real test is whether Odegaard and Norway's wide players can force France's midfield to turn toward their own goal. If Aurélien Tchouaméni and Adrien Rabiot are allowed to screen the center-backs comfortably, France can compress the pitch and make Haaland look isolated. If Norway can drag those midfielders sideways, especially through quick switches into Nusa or Sorloth, then Haaland's first movement becomes much harder to track. That is where the game could be decided. If France hold their shape and force Norway to build through a crowded midfield, Deschamps' side should control the match. But if Odegaard finds even 1 or 2 clean passes into the channel behind France's high line, Haaland becomes a very different problem from anything this French defense has faced so far in the tournament. There is also the Mbappe factor on the other side. Haaland and Mbappe are both in the Golden Boot race. Both are carrying the spotlight for their countries, and both know this match will be read as more than just a group stage decider. It is not only Norway against France, it is also the tournament's most feared number 9 against the tournament's most explosive forward.
What would actually need to happen for Norway to win? So let's get specific. What is the realistic path here? First, Norway need Odegaard to consistently find the right pass into the channels. They cannot rely on hopeful long balls over the top. Against the France backline with this much recovery pace, direct balls with no structure will play straight into French hands. Norway's best attacks have come when they move through midfield, find the wide player, then attack the space behind the backline with timing. Second, Norway need defensive discipline for 90 minutes. They have conceded in both group games so far, and France are a different level of punishment. Mbappe, Dembele, and Olise do not need many openings. 1 loose touch in midfield, 1 fullback caught too high, or 1 slow defensive transition could be enough for France to take control. Third, Norway need their biggest players to stay calm when the match becomes uncomfortable. Haaland may only get 1 or 2 clear chances. Odegaard may only get a few moments where the pass is available. Sorloth and Nusa may only get limited opportunities to stretch the game. Against a team like France, the issue is not whether Norway can create danger. The issue is whether they can be ruthless when those moments arrive. And the group maths makes the challenge clear. Because France have the stronger goal difference going into this match, a draw would most likely keep them above Norway. That means Norway cannot treat this like a free hit or settle for simply avoiding defeat. If they want to top the group, they need to win. The setup rewards ambition, not caution.
Why this matters beyond bragging rights. Both teams have already secured their place in the round of 32, which means this match is not about survival. It is about bracket positioning, rhythm, and status. In the first 48-team World Cup, finishing first carries real value. 12 group winners, 12 runners-up, and 8 third-place teams move into the 32-team knockout bracket. That means the path can shift quickly depending on goal difference, third-place rankings, and matchups elsewhere. Winning the group does not guarantee an easy road, but it gives a team more control and, just as importantly, more momentum. For France, topping the group protects their status as a tournament favorite. It tells the rest of the field that Deschamps' side handled business, won the games they were expected to win, and dealt with the only serious threat in the group. For Norway, it would mean something even bigger. Beating France would transform them from a great story into a genuine warning. It would tell the tournament that this team is not just emotional, not just inspired, and not just built around one superstar striker. It would say Norway belong in the conversation with the very best. That context changes how this match should be read. This is not a must-win in the desperate sense, but for a Norwegian footballing generation that waited 28 years just to be back on this stage, the chance to beat France and finish top of the group is massive. It is about seeding, but it is also about identity. So, is Norway really going to win against France? Realistically, France are still the safer pick. Their defensive record, squad depth, tournament pedigree, and attacking quality all point toward a result that goes their way. A tight 2-1 or 3-1 France win feels like the most logical prediction, especially if Norway leaves space for Mbappe to attack in transition. But being the favorite and being guaranteed to win are two very different things. Norway have scored in every match at this tournament. Haaland is in frightening form. Odegaard has the range to exploit the exact kind of space France's high line could leave behind. And football, especially in games like this, has a habit of rewarding teams that genuinely believe they belong on the same pitch as the favorites. Whatever happens in Foxborough, this is exactly the fixture the World Cup needed. Two of the most dangerous forwards on the planet, a group winner still to be decided, a heavyweight favorite against a team trying to announce itself to the world. Win or lose, Norway have already proven something no Norwegian team has managed in 28 years. The only question left is whether they can finish the story with the biggest result of all. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.